Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of HackCast. You may notice that there's a specific host that is missing today. He was playing Mario Party, so this is just very, very important, very busy man.
50 turns is a big deal, guys.
So we got a backup. We got a backup person called Mushi.
You
Say
may have heard
hi.
of him. Maybe.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
That's Moji64 on the mic. For this one.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, we also were planning on having a special guest that wasn't actually Mushi this time, but apparently the time zone in Australia, apparently it's only like 8:30 a.m. and apparently that's too early for Quills, so he couldn't show up.
In case
But
you didn't know,
anyway,
that was the special guest.
Yeah. So anyway, our agenda for today. So the first and biggest news story of like the whole bye week is apparently in SM64 there's four new instruments that nobody knew about, like in the sound engine itself. So it's in every single sound bank. There's
What?
four new yeah. It's in every
That's a
sound
shocker.
bank. Yeah, there's four new instruments in the SM64 sound engine that nobody knew about for like 11, 12 years or however long people's been making hacks. That's like the main news story. What are your guys' topics? If you remember.
Um,
West
Depends
Impact.
on-
I mean,
what was chosen? Yep, let's go with West Impact.
Yeah,
I
we
guess
can
so.
dedicate an entire episode to
Yeah,
this. In
I
fact,
think Mushi, your topic was music quizzes, and
yeah.
Loka, I kind of forgot.
Mine was like
Yep.
basically like how ROM hacking tools have changed, like the
Oh
accessibility
yeah.
and the ease of using them.
Yeah. But
Yep.
first, we're gonna introduce our special guest that was like got that we got off the street like 5 minutes beforehand. Hello, Mushi. Tell us who you are for the two people who don't know you and two people who are watching this that don't know you. Tell us who you are, what you do in the community, all of that.
Yeah, who are you?
Well, who am I? Hello there, dear viewers. I am a sometimes described as a triggered Bulgarian mushroom who plays ROM hacks and likes to criticize them way too often. A big time casual, so you would catch me talking more about the mainstream ROM hacks than the Kaizos, for example. And well, I hope we get to the music quiz topic or something similar indeed today, because I am also a sucker for some good music boards in Mario 64.
For those
Yeah,
that
this
don't
is
know,
kinda-
what is your favorite ROM hack?
Oh, that would be SM64 Last Impact by Kaze, even
Really?
though it's got some competition. Well, Last Impact has got a bunch of custom stuff, and for me, it's kind of cool to play around with those, even though, it's found out to be pretty junk at this year as opposed to 2016. But, well, I'm getting over that in order to enjoy the fresh new things Kaze added to the game for us to play around with, spawn stars in new ways and all kinds of stuff like that. Not just abusing Mario's movement, but also adding something fresh to the mix.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yep. And I guess I have, tried a little bit of a lot of stuff, so technically you could hear me having usually way too strong opinion about a lot of topics, but it's not necessary that I'm an expert on any of them, so we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes.
But we will touch upon them.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, the first thing that we're going to be talking about today, like the first major, gigantic, amazing thing,
It's really amazing.
is I think I alluded to it earlier, but it's the four new instruments in Mario 64. So I'm just going to explain like the whole story around it, just so that everyone is caught up on it, and then we can talk about like the implications of everything. So basically, there's four new instruments in the Mario 64. They're not new; they've been in the game since it came out, but people started using them in the past week or so. So basically, around a week ago, I was looking for decomp, trying to create So I was trying to create a way to have like native synth waves in Mario 64 because synth waves are cool and I find myself wanting to use them a crap ton in songs. Like synth waves are stuff like sine waves or square waves. Basically, they're like synthetic instruments. They're kind of like beeps and bobs. If you ever listen to an NES game soundtrack, those are all synth waves basically. So that's a good way of explaining it.
Is there any twang like the Genesis?
Yeah, Genesis synths are kind of twangy though. Each console has like their own like different unique spin on the synths. Like the NES triangle wave isn't like an exact triangle; it is actually kind of weird. So that's something.
Would you happen to have some sound examples of those kinds of waves? Maybe for people who aren't exactly aware of the differences between them.
I don't think
or the general sound.
I don't think we've heard them either.
I'll explain that once we get to the exact like type of waves. Also, I might actually have to give you the sound sample, Loka, so you can play it on stream.
Oh yeah.
1 second.
I don't think. Yeah, I haven't.
I actually
heard of
do
it
have
before.
it though. I just need to place it somewhere. But anyway, how this works exactly, or how this exists. So basically, what happened was I wanted to like add some synth waves to SM64 because I felt like it would be a cool addition to music and decomp, of course, because you can do anything in decomp. The problem with that, however, was that I realized, holy crap! Whenever I was like looking forward to see how I could exactly do that in like the sound engine, how I could add it, I was like, holy crap! This already exists. I checked to make sure it actually existed, and I was like, wait a second, this actually exists. And then I checked on RAW Manager to make sure it wasn't just a weird decomp thing, and it already existed. And I was like, this is huge.
Can a ROM manager casual as myself able to use these tools?
Well, I mean, if you can make music in RAW Manager, yeah.
Perfect.
Well, then maybe instead of ROM manager, we should say Seg64 as the tool.
Yeah, SS64 in general.
Yeah.
So, like, exactly. So, basically, there's 4 different types of waves that are in the game. There's a kind of step wave, which is kind of similar to a square wave in its like in its substance. Basically, so the first wave that you'll hear in this, I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'm going to give you the .mp4 just so that you can see like what the waves exactly look like. So you can, if you can figure out a way to show that on stream, it would be great. I posted it in general. So the first wave. So the first wave is a kind of sawtooth wave where it goes up and then where basically waves are like a sound form. It's kind of actually hard to describe it. Basically, waves are like digital sound produced by performing a function on the volume of the wave or amplitude or whatever. So basically, you can set the exact volume.
That's a very loud sound.
Yeah, it is kind of loud. So you
I can
set
show it. 1 sec. Yeah, I'll do window capture.
The first one is kind of a sawtooth wave. The second one should be a triangle wave. The third is a sine wave, and the fourth is step wave. And saying it out loud, you have no idea how it sounds, and that's why I want Loka to show it on stream so that
for you experts out there.
Yeah, so that you guys can actually understand exactly how it works.
Here you go.
Why it's important.
Real quick. This will be covering
and
our
how
faces,
it looks,
but this is what it looks like.
It looks cool visually.
Yeah, this is oscilloscope. It basically shows what the waves look like.
Wait, it's not showing the wave? Whoa. Why is it not showing the wave?
The?
Well, let's try that again. I know how to do it. I'll just do videos. VLC source.
Yeah.
Alas, the VLC, the almighty VLC cone has struck us again.
Yeah. VLC likes giving us cones.
There you go. Now you can see it. So these are what the waves look like.
Yeah. And each one produces a different sound that is useful in certain situations, especially if originals, like if you're recording a song that actually has these sounds in the actual Like
I'll just make this the background of our cast for the remaining of the episode.
every episode in the future.
Yeah.
Pretty good idea.
Anyway. What's it called? Basically, these waves, they're basically instruments in themselves. So every instrument is kind of like a wave. It's a really, really complicated wave if it's anything that is supposed to resemble a real instrument that you can play in actual real life land.
I love that place.
Me too.
Don't visit it very often, but yeah, it's great.
It's got problems.
Sometimes.
Can't deny that. It has problems.
Yeah, but the one thing that it definitely does right is the shading and texture.
Yeah, whoever modeled real life did an amazing job. I'll just be totally
Can I rip those textures through quad somehow?
I don't think you can. But...
Damn.
You might be able to use a camera to rip the textures.
I'll just ask God. Don't worry. Hey, what tool?
And even then, you lose some of the quality, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how you lose the quality if you use a camera.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, back to the music instruments, or, well, not
So
exactly instruments as much as they're waves.
Twangs.
Yeah.
Talk about twangs.
So yeah, basically, one thing I find really interesting is that people could have technically used these instruments since the very beginning of ROM hacking. Like, this isn't like a new development. I mean, it is a new development, but people theoretically could have been using these since like Star Road or Missing Stars or any of those hacks, but they just didn't know that they existed.
These hacks could have been so much better if they had them.
Yep.
Although I doubt you could use them with the XML importer and editor. But
no.
Even then, like before XML importer existed, people still made music ports for like Missing Stars, which was weird.
Yep, and I know of a pretty weird tool called MML to M64, and I don't know the specifics of the MML format, but if we have to judge by certain ROM hacks from the period of Missing Stars to 74, not to mention any exact names, then, people weren't really proficient with it, or maybe it wasn't suited for making good ports.
The early days of SM64 ROM hacks were kind of...
It was hard to be a fan back then.
Yeah. Yeah,
yep.
What's it called? Ever since SEQ64 came out, it's basically overhauled music porting because it's just so much better than XML importing. Ever since that came out, what's it called? First, people have been able to actually make really good ports, finally. I mean, ports were still really good with XML importing. It's just they're much better with SEQ. The second reason why that's important is that ever since that came out, people technically could have used these new waves ever since then, because all you have to do instead of like putting instrument ID number 1 or ID number 2 to get these waves, all you need to do is instrument ID 80 to 83 for each wave, if that makes any sense.
And this is interesting for one more reason. It's not really a precedent because we have the general percussion, which is always available at ID 127. So it's not the first odd ID in existence. So it's kind of weird actually to not have found that out.
Yeah, it's weird that nobody's ever decided to just put 80 in there for no, like, or 128. I'm just saying 80 because that's hexadecimal.
Yeah, or just go through all the numbers one by one.
That's just how it's weird that nobody's actually decided to just like, what happens if I put one more than 7F? It's
overflow, I guess.
Yeah, people just like never tried that out. Like it'll crash the ROM or something.
And there are so many things which can crash your ROMs that it's just... Yeah, it's a standard Monday.
Just saving your ROM on RM could crash
What's actually kind of interesting, though, is that the Shindo and European versions actually have more waves. They have 2 extra waves, and the 4 other waves are much more higher quality. And I have no clue why. Why that's a change, considering these were never used in vanilla SM64 to begin with.
So you see, guys, this port is the definitive port. Who cares if you can't BLJ anymore? Because you got better quality waves.
That aren't used in the game.
That's why they picked it for 3D collection.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah. What's it called? So yeah, the first thing I realized whenever I found this is, did anybody find this before me? And surprisingly, no. I thought this would be like one of those things where people found it before me,
Like, I'm a
but
genius. I found this. People are
yeah,
gonna start using this all the time now.
like what's it called? For a second, I thought this was going to be one of those things where people just didn't know that this was actually like really important. People that found it were just like, "Oh, this exists," but they didn't actually think about how important this is. But I realized immediately how create my own thing was just very similar to it. So I think, yeah.
If only that happened to QSLGs, people are like, "Oh, that exists. We're not gonna do anything with it. Just leave
Yeah.
it." If only that was.
Imagine.
Mhm.
If only.
But well, there's certain people who are very creative with certain types of tricks, and
there's
yeah, I
DE.
guess that could apply to. Yeah, I guess that could apply to everything, but in our community, it applies easier to Kaizo hacks than such musical advances, or even coding and programming advances.
Yeah.
If we go into the comp territory and so on.
Yeah. What I was saying though is that what I did. Well, first of all, I import a lot of like plot songs from like the N60. Not that I like importing songs from the SNES and sometimes the Genesis and also the NES. And those songs are maybe not all synth waves because the SNES does have a few instruments, but a lot of them have a lot of synth waves, and it's actually like it's a lot easier to get. Maybe a more accurate port, but also just a better sounding port because these songs weren't made to be listened to with normal instruments. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo has been one of the hardest consoles to like get right when it comes to like making ports for it.
Yeah. So like,
but for some reason, Sonic, especially Sonic music, that just like translates so naturally, like as if it was made for it. I don't know what it is. It just always almost every Sonic track I've heard in hacks have sounded like this could actually work in the game itself.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was saying though is that what's actually kind of but these waves aren't just useful for like porting old songs because first of all there's newer songs that also use synth instruments like the Brain Age theme. The like
train your brain.
Yeah, like the intro theme how it has that like hype is like I can't sing it but like
yeah, I know what it sounds like
the very like the Brain Age instrument that's actually a sine wave. It's like, and so it's actually possible to get a very accurate portrayal of that in SM64, at least that part of the song, because it's just a sine wave.
Has anybody ever poured tracks from that?
I have, actually. That's the reason why I mentioned it.
Oof. Of course.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, also, NES songs, I think I mentioned earlier, they're all synth waves. Basically, there's 4 different channels in every NES song. There's 2 square tracks, 1 triangle track, and then a noise track, which is basically percussion. And since there's the step wave, which is kind of like a square wave, and the triangle wave, which is kind of similar, it's actually a good approximation for the NES. Like NES stuff. Yeah, we actually are kind of talking about tracker music. Putty One
made a huge discovery.
Yeah, Putty One just said that. Oh, we're talking about tracker music. Yeah, but the tracker music is actually a bit different. I realized that when I was working on porting NES songs because basically in the NES, how it works. What's it called? With the NES. The actual like spacing of the waves can be different, so you can have like the square wave track. You can like increase or decrease the like. It's kind of hard to explain it, but like, first of all, we don't even have a square wave. We only have a step wave. But second of all, like you can increase the distance between square waves and all that, so it actually can make a wide range of instruments. Whereas with this, you can just have one distance, if that makes any sense. It scales up and down with the frequency, but you can't have it scale up and down to keep the frequency the same.
We've come so far.
That makes sense. But it's still very useful for certain other applications, and I'm sure some people are going to make some crazy sounding ports because these might sound like very simple instruments, but they can be used to make like they can be layered on each other and they can make some amazing sounding songs.
5OF is anything to go by. Those already have some crazy tracks, and they've been using like wave imports too.
Oh yeah, but that wave imports. What's it called? I consider wave imports cheating because that's just you're just importing the song directly into the game.
There is something appealing about using 64's instruments to convert it.
Yeah,
for sure.
It creates its own style for sure.
I'm fine with using like one or two custom instruments if I can't find a 64 instrument that fits. But I just don't like wave songs.
Sometimes the 64 parts sound better than the originals.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with that. Maybe even in those cases, until we had the sine waves at least for those tracks. I think you, Vic, mentioned earlier that I don't know, there were certain instruments which were hard to replace. No, I think it was about the sonic tracks in particular.
Yeah.
That well, they already kind of work good in the SM64 fashion, even if it's not accurate to the original. Okay, apologies for that.
Yeah. What's it called? So yeah, with the music, I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I was gonna say one more thing about. Or I was gonna say another thing about this topic. Yeah, it's not just. So and also I feel like it would be a good. There's definitely places where even if the original didn't have one of the wave instruments, you should still think about in using it if that makes any sense. Like I'm a big fan of actually changing up the instruments to fit the SM64 sound font. Like I don't want to make an accurate port. When I make a port, I want to make a port that sounds good versus an accurate port. If that makes any sense. If it's an accurate port and it sounds good, that's amazing. But like when I was porting an Apex Tape song for, it was actually for nothing at the time, and then I reused it for 24-hour hack. The 24-hour hack port sucks, so don't listen to it.
You make that 24 hours too.
Anyway,
good advertisement.
Anyways, moving on.
Anyways, what I was saying though about that thing is, with the port that I was making for Apescape Crumbling Castle, it uses original song uses like string instruments, but string instruments are terrible in SM64 sometimes, and considering the like notes go like really high, it'll just break the string instrument. So instead, I actually used the Bowser organ because I felt it was actually a better fit for the original instruments than the SM64 instruments, if that makes any sense.
Is it true that percussion like just doesn't work that much, or like what's the deal with percussion?
Percussion you just have to change to fit. You just have to like percussion works, you just have to figure out how it works. Like for percussion,
it's had a troubled history.
Yeah, percussion, you kind of have to listen to the original song and try to figure out what each percussion track is, and then move all of the instruments to the specific percussion for Mario 64 that would fit with that percussion track.
Oh dear.
Percussion is probably the most annoying part about porting music for me, but a lot of times I just ignore percussion and hope that it solves itself and it sounds good. Yeah. and if it doesn't, then I fix it.
No, I like going about the trying to make a good port as opposed to accurate port, because sometimes if you make it too accurate, it's not going to sound that well in Mario 64. You kind of want it in a way, yes, it's from a different game, but in a way it kind of stands out. Like let's take KBR2, Course 2 music. People know that's from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, but when you hear that track specifically, it's like you think of KBR2, you think of like the Mario 64 version.
Yeah.
It stands out to the point to where it's like, oh, I only think of the 64 version, not where the actual game came from.
It's actually kind of funny. I've been playing some like other games, and I just hear a song that I know from SM64, and I'm like, this song is from this game, right?
Yeah. If KT's anyone to go by, yeah, he would know.
Like I play like Pokemon game or something, and you hear it because there's so many Pokemon tracks used.
Specifically, Mystery Dungeon. It's the Pokemon game I've heard the most.
Yeah, you hear a song from the game, and you think, wait a second, this is from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, not SM64.
No.
I get like almost all songs are not original, but it's just kind of strange.
But then you have Toaster, who's also made some original compositions.
Yeah.
I think Course 7 and 8 in KBR2 have that.
Yeah.
Yep, at least one of the two.
I know Toaster makes a lot of ports. I've only actually made one original port, and it wasn't even for a hack. It was for a video. It was for the trailer
I was
for
gonna say trailer for.
the trailer for KT's music quiz, and the only reason I did that is to give Kate Toad no hints whatsoever.
Should have made that one of the options.
I don't know what hack this is from. I don't even know what game this is from.
Hell, you used. I think it was GeoGuess that they used like a picture from an unreleased hack. It was like Kaze's Yoshi hack.
Oh no.
Yeah, but technically there is a demo for Kaze's Yoshi hack. Even though, yeah, I think there was indeed a dirty trick in there, but I just forgot about it exactly. Probably a course that was not released.
If I was in the music quiz, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is from SRMC. I hope that counts." It's not out yet, but I swear it's an SRMC. And I just put it in before release. See, I told you.
Technically correct by the author's decision.
Yeah,
sounds pretty good.
We were talking about. Oh yeah, we were saying one more thing about the music. I guess it's a good segue into the music quiz, which is our next topic. But
yeah, that's the thing we did in the marathon.
Yeah,
the first one was a clown fiesta because I forget. I think it was it was like my idea and like Katie's idea, something like that, or whatever.
And you slept. You were like you hadn't slept for like 19 hours or something.
Yeah. So basically, there was I forget what channel it was called. I think his name was like John Cartwright or something, and he was doing. He was doing.
It's actually changed now. I think it's actually the Good Vibes Gaming channel now.
Yeah, Good Vibes. But he was doing a quiz between Nitro Rad and Scott the Waz and several other YouTubers like Nathaniel Banny was in it and things like that. And she used us.
I'll explain. I wanted to say one thing before you go on because we were on a conversation topic a second ago. You can continue in a second. But when you said that when you were saying something about the unreleased hack, I actually did use an unreleased hack in KT's music quiz.
You told me it because you were testing it on me and Andrew before you gave it.
And what was she?
Oh yeah, it was Kaze's Yoshi's I Want, and it was an unreleased course, but it was about the music and not GeoGuessr.
Yeah. And
you played dirty, my friend.
And I actually, I'm sure if I asked K's, he probably wouldn't actually give it to me. But because I actually I probably could ask K's and he would have given it to me, but I probably wouldn't have thought of the idea. But because K's had asked me like a month prior to create a port for the hack, I was like, you know what? I'm going to include this port that I created for the hack. Just to screw over King Time because he's never gonna know unless he watches every single K's video, and even then he's never gonna know.
It was also funny when I did the music quiz with Prack. I think you're like, oh yeah, Loka, you should know this, and it was like it was from the SRMC demo. It was like the overall tool, and I was like, oh my god, I'm an idiot. I was like, oh my god, didn't even know my own game's track, but I got rid of it because. Helium helped me put extended sound bank on it, and that gets rid of the title screen sound bank.
Yeah, I had problems with that with 24-hour hack where title screen songs were broken because of the extended sound bank.
So I was like, I plead ignorance on this. Foul.
Yeah.
Foul.
Anyway, yeah, you can continue about the story of the music quiz. I'm sorry for distracting everyone.
It's okay. So yeah, Nitro Rad and Scott the Waz and several other YouTubers, they were doing some music quiz, and they just play music tracks from like different series and things like that. They also
just stole the idea.
Basically, yes. Inspired. I was inspired by it, which is another form of yes, I took it blatantly, stole it outright. Anyway,
I just realized
they used some like rubber band technique, which I did try at first to just see if it worked. It's like it was for people that are behind and all that. They asked trivia questions, and these were on the spot because when we first organized it, I had to set the layout. Like I used Quill's WSRM logo. I had to use the purple diamond background, but the tracks I had to switch from stereo mix to my mic because for some reason I couldn't use both.
The worst. That was the worst.
Yeah, so like I couldn't talk when I switched the stereo mix, so I had to like switch back to my mic. So, so like, oh, what do you guys think of this track is? So the first one was a train wreck.
it was kind of awkward. I guess I'll explain now since you were the host for the first music quiz. Mushi, you were the host for the second music quiz, but I helped you out a bit with the setup because I realized it would be a lot easier if you actually had a bot to actually play the music in a Discord channel than to switch to stereo mix and back every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first of its kind.
That did help.
Yeah.
It was definitely the first of its kind.
On how you organized it then as well?
Well, in my case, I don't remember all the details, but one thing was for sure is that Woka didn't seem to be doing a second one, and there was quite a lot of interest after the first music quiz for some more, because more different people wanted to take part in it, even though it was, technically maybe not the best, but it was still enjoyable. And for that reason, I decided that since at that point I already was in control of the SRM music playlist for long enough already, I could just pick tracks from there and take over the hosting, at least one more time. And that's how the second music quiz happened. Then, of course, I tried to do some balancing, and hopefully that worked out between all the rounds, including the kind of a guest round between, I think it was you, DMVic, versus Wolsk.
Yeah, I remember. And I just crushed Wolsk because I know every single original song. It's great. No, I don't actually know every single original song, but I know a lot of original songs.
Yeah, a lot of them. One, KT eventually had to get his own music quiz because he was just too good for the competition.
Yeah, I'm gonna explain that in a second, but I remember there was one with that special round. I remember the Lego Star Wars.
Yes, he was guessing Lego Star Wars at one occasion. But I mean, that's a pretty fair guess at that point, if only for the meme, because on the flip side, we had a lot of other rounds where a hot guess was Starvenge 3.5.
Yeah. I just looked around my room and just chose the first game I could see, and I saw Lego Star Wars, and I was like, you know what? Lego Star Wars.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, Brodu has a Barbie song in one of the games, so I guess anything's possible.
Yeah.
It does come to show that songs in ROM hacks are ported from all kinds of places, including, of course, not really video game music, like things like it's definitely Barbie for sure, but also things like Frank Sinatra, My Way, in Another Mario Adventure.
Yeah, that was the last one, right?
Yep. Which it had to be the last one because, of course, Wolves could know it, not rigged or anything, by the way, and of course, it would be a really nice round off because it's
what's actually sad? And
such an outro song.
You know what's sad? And I didn't even notice until like a few days ago. My dad's met Sick Frank Sinatra, and I got that one wrong.
Oh damn! Well. Yeah, at that point you got so many other songs right that one freebie for him was absolutely fine.
Let's just say AgLab has caused many copyright strikes on videos because of his Frank Sinatra port and his Lord of the Rings port in ASAE.
Oh god. But that's not the worst because it's not even AgLab's fault, for example, that Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, which I think was the original swipe track in Starvenge Return 2.0. Yep, that one's on Bro Duty instead. And apparently it's also a hot copyright material on YouTube.
Oh yeah, there's also one more in what's the name of this game? It's the one that Kingdom runs. That I forget the name.
Super Mario Bros. Super Show?
Yeah, Super Show has another Michael Jackson song, Bad, I'm pretty sure.
Oh damn. At this point, yep, gotta beware because there's a lot of tracks from, again, not video game music, but you're just running the risk of causing copyright strikes on everyone for using those.
Yeah, well, I'll get back to the main topic in a second, but I just want to make an aside. When I uploaded the entire Fantasy 64 OST, I only got copyright strikes. Okay, so the entire Fantasy 64 OST includes songs from like Metallica and The Police and a bunch of other people that all have the right to copyright claim it. So I uploaded the whole soundtrack in one video. The only people who copyright claimed it were people trying to copyright claim music that was in the public domain.
That sounds like YouTube, all right.
Yes. I actually disputed that eventually, even though I felt like not disputing it.
For me,
Just
it was
because
always
it was
like Brazil. It was like, oh, Brazil de música. I'm like, you
Yeah.
don't own this.
Yeah, it's always like if you like. I swear I've gotten copyright claims for people saying that they own Nintendo's music as well. But anyway,
So actual legitimate people, interesting. But
what I was
the thing
saying,
with
I was gonna say one more thing though. What's actually interesting though is that when I uploaded my 182-star run to YouTube, that did get copyright claimed by the police, but not the OST with no background noise, but the one that has Mario jumping
No,
around.
the one that
and
has
laughing
fair
things.
use. The one that's actually considered fair use.
Yes. I mean, it probably wouldn't be considered fair use since I didn't actually say anything during the first half of that run.
Yeah, but gameplay is like unique.
Yeah.
That makes a video unique based on somebody's gameplay.
Yeah, it's a legal gray area from what I've heard.
You can't really like copy that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. When I used to do speedruns of Dream Edition, and every run I would submit, I would always have to deal with the copyright afterwards. That's why I was like, I hope I don't PB. This way, I don't have to deal with another content ID.
Like, who keeps like copyright credit claiming you from DE?
Some kanjis I don't understand. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
why do I have the feeling that it's something about a idol master track?
Maybe.
Then again, I'm not
I don't know.
very well versed on the names of the music. First run especially because first run is a bit more varied than second run in the music choices, like
Just-
the
yeah,
sources
just a
of
little
it,
bit.
and also a bit worse in quality, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I'm just not knowledgeable in DE at all. So just
You should probably keep it that way.
yeah. Anyway,
Absolutely.
we're going back. Anyway, we're kind of on like 10 different tangents. We're gonna go back to the music quiz now. So after Mushi's music quiz, which was
Yeah,
I'd say it was a success.
If I could add something to that, after that music quiz, my personal opinion has been that, the music quiz's time is kind of over. It's kind of run its course, and maybe the event will be done existing soon,
Just
at
like
least if
hardcore.
I'm in charge. Exactly. Because at one point you do run out of content. Or in our
Yeah.
case, it's not that much of a problem that you run out of content, because there were still some tracks to use technically in the SRM playlist and even outside of it, but a lot of hacks actually repeat some tracks, like some are pretty popular, considered overused.
Yeah.
For one example, Super Mario Sunshine Sky and Sea, if I put that in a music quiz, there's a 50% chance that I'll get an immediate answer and it will be considered stupid, and a 50% chance that people mess it up, and then the people in the chat would be wondering, how the hell have you never heard of that, or you
And
never
there's some ports that use the same music, but they
Point
both
out that-
sound
Yeah.
differently as well.
Yeah. So I tried solving a lot of those issues with the third music quiz. So there was actually two music quizzes that time. There is the first music quiz in the third round of music quizzes, which was King Toad's 50-question extravaganza music quiz. Basically. Because I felt like because basically King Toad dominated both of the other music quizzes, so I thought, you know what would be a good idea? Giving King Toad 50 questions. So I actually was willing to give it like, and another thing to like spice it up is that he would have gotten prizes depending on how well he did, but the highest prize he got was my autograph.
Which, that was quite an original idea for a prize, gotta say.
Yeah, he actually did get my autograph though. I actually did
You
give
would
it
just
to him.
make
I didn't
a
forget.
fan-made cartridge of 24 Hours Hack and then just sign it for him and send it back.
If I went to France, I would do that, but I haven't been. I'm not going to France. At least just for that.
So you're saying that one day there's a possibility.
Maybe.
But let's just keep that in mind on the side.
He's gonna
Yeah.
do the music quiz at his house.
You heard that? SRM 2028, let's say. At
It'll be
Kito's
2038.
house, excuse me.
It's from 2038 at Kington's house.
Yep.
Anyway.
Featuring
make
the
the
Hack
whole-
Music Quiz as
Just
a
make the
special
entire
guest.
marathon just like at a panel, and everybody just does the run like GDQ.
Okay, anyway, what I was saying though, with King Toad's music quiz, I actually changed it up a bit because I felt like if there's 50 questions, you gotta have to change it up a little bit. The formula probably wouldn't be fun for 50 questions. So because it was solo, there was no catch-up questions because there was no one to catch up against for King Toad's music quiz. And basically how I did it was King Toad had there was 5 different levels of questions. So there was level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one was worth this specific amount of points. So level 5 questions were worth 5 points. But level 5 questions were also much harder than level 1 questions. Level 1 questions were basically free. Basically. I think he actually did miss a level 1 question. I don't remember now. Oh yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't get Stick Bug 64. Level 1 question was also half memes. I forgot to mention.
Yep, and they might be level 1 questions for King Toad, but they're kind of the whole quiz is after all custom tailored to him. So some memes he's definitely much more in the know about than your regular person listening to hack music out there.
Yeah, also, the entire music quiz is just much more difficult in general because it's with King Toad, and King Toad... I did not give King Toad any advantages. Or no, I did give King Toad 3 hints to use throughout the whole thing. Which wouldn't give it away, but would lead him toward the correct answer. So there was that. And then, yeah, there was that's basically that's basically it. There's 50 questions. He actually got like 50 questions. And then there was actually 3 extra questions that they didn't tell anyone about, which were just rejects at the end.
Yep, that one you could count as an advantage, at least from the standpoint of, hey, there's more rewards to win, and if you get those questions, well, you get more points and you get more stuff at the end.
I get that autograph.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the autograph, but yeah.
Anyway, what happened at the end, actually? What he did. So there was actually only 1 level... So yeah, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it. He only got 1 level 5 question and 1 level 4 question right. Yeah, the level 4 and 5 questions were brutal. They were either songs and hacks that people have heard of, but you never hear anyone played songs. Like car hack, anything that's Mario pissing.
Excuse me, I think I would have dealt with car hack pretty well because I'm actually a person who cycled through all the radio stations for a little bit at least, just to hear what's up. And some are actually kind of decent. Of course, nothing as iconic as Mario pissing. But they're fine.
King Toad just always switched to Mario pissing every single time. That's what he told me during the music quiz.
Yep, and that turned into a King Toad Gambit, which is kind of the topic of the whole music quiz, which was kind of fun. Because again, finally something else can dominate him instead of the opposite.
Yeah. What's it called though? So yeah, he actually got the only level 4 question he got right was because a song that was in level 4 that I didn't know was in the hack. It was the only time that there was one of those things. Because you were mentioning earlier how there was times where there was one song that was in one hack, but the host didn't know. If that makes any sense, it was in multiple hacks.
Too. They're like, this is from Star Revenge 5. I was like, oh.
I actually tried to do a lot of research to make sure that people... I did a lot of research to make sure that either people didn't know... either the ports were... For King Toad's music quiz, they had to be the same port because it's King Toad and he deserves to have the more stringent rule set.
Deserves punishment, for short.
Yeah. But... I'll explain it for the regular music quiz later, but basically... For the King Toad's music quiz, the port had to be the exact same. And I actually did do a lot of research. I recorded every song in the King Toad's music quiz by myself. It took me 10 hours probably, 15 maybe, to actually first think of all the songs that I needed to choose because I wanted to screw him over as much as possible, at least at the end.
You're quite committed to screwing people over, I must say.
I also wanted to make sure that most of the songs are actually good. I didn't want to just choose 10 Fairs hack songs because that would be mean and not fun.
Yep, they shouldn't just be shitty ports. There should be some substance to them. They should be listenable in a way while being weird, as opposed to, 9 out of 10 instruments are messed up because this is a 2013 ROM hack and the person doesn't know how to port soundtracks, so... Yep.
Yeah. Next music quiz, you just make a bunch of custom ports and just say they're from hacks, and he won't get it.
Yes. Alternatively, we can listen to all the music ports from Madness because they don't really sound like anything. which does remind me that I actually tried to use, and I think I was actually successful in using one port from Madness. That is the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, you did for
which is
not Luca Wolfskinny.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Wolf did get it. So yep,
Big fan.
that's something.
What I was saying though about the thing, what I was saying though about KT's music was, basically how that worked is something.
You spent 10 hours.
Well, we had the way more difficult tracks. We had the extra questions. We had the. They should be memes, but they should be recognizable, not from Forest hacks. And
that was everything I explained. But there's also what's it called? In KT's music quiz. There's the one instance of King Toad knowing a song that was definitely from a hack, and I didn't know it, and it was the Matrix song. Apparently, that's also in Rescue Asta 2. And I had no clue because I never played Rescue Asta 2.
Yeah, for me that was also a shocker, because Rescue Asta 2 was definitely blind raced during an SRM. At the same time, though, well, Lonely Holidays is the OG.
Yeah. So yeah. And then he got the Trump 64 question right in the level 5 question, and I don't know why both King Toad and you Luca knew that immediately. Like, who knows the freaking boss fight song from Trump 64?
Oh, I know. Big fan.
I think you and King Toad are the only two
wonder.
people in the universe besides me, because I recorded the song, that know the song.
Isn't it obvious?
I mean, the main one is obvious. The boss one, you hear it for 10 seconds, which is kind of DMV's intention with that one.
Yeah.
And he did succeed.
I thought I succeeded, but I didn't. Because King Toad got it.
Well, in principle, you did, just not for that specific one, which is fine.
Yeah, because if there's one person to know anything about Trump 64, it's King Toad. Let's be honest.
Oh well, you can never know what kind of cards a person will hold in their hand. What kind of hacks they would have played. Sometimes they might surprise you.
That was the first music quiz. The second music quiz of WSRM 2022 was the regular music quiz. So the first music quiz I recorded probably 55 songs for, if you include the bonus questions and the ones that I just rejected completely because I was like, I don't want to use this at all in any music quiz capacity whatsoever. In the second one, I actually borrowed a bunch of songs from the SRM playlist because I made the music quiz 5 minutes, not five, a week. I started making it a week before the music quiz actually started. If you remember, Mishi.
I don't quite, but from experience, for anyone who might be interested out there, 1 week for an event that's going to appear on a marathon usually is not enough.
I have to mention
unless you grind it.
I was also doing ROMAC categories as well in the same week.
Yep. The enthusiasm of making all the special events, which pays out at the end if we see the people's reactions, but at the same time it really is stress and a lot of work while in the making.
Thanks to Aglan for actually helping me out on categories, because I probably wouldn't have came up with enough categories otherwise. But anyway, what was it? See, we had a music quiz. The regular music quiz, there's 20 questions for each group, so there's 40 questions. I'd say 40% of them were taken from the SRM playlist, though. But the rest I had to come up with and record myself. So basically, it was a lot. I tried to make each music quiz personalized to the people that were in it. 1 second, I'm going to bring up the playlists, because, yes, I still have them.
Yep, because the trick with the personalized quizzes, same with Millionaire, not just music quizzes, well, they do produce the best results, both for the player and the audience. Because if you, for example, decide to give a Kaizo ROM hack player main questions about Kaizo ROM hacks and pretend they're going to be difficult, when you might be a person who knows even less than the contestant about the material in topic. That already happened, but I'm not concerning the exact round in which that happened. It was a standalone millionaire round, so it doesn't matter too much anyway.
Categories
But
and
the point is,
GeoGuessr were arranged like that too.
Yeah, I'll explain. Can I explain? I'll explain. I swear, every single time in GeoGuessr, something goes wrong because the first time I got my own hack, and the second time I got my own category.
yep, I think there was a whole category which someone, probably Aguap, swiftly told the host to replace because it was not fitting for the current group. And so it was. I don't think either of the people playing indeed knew what the hell was going on in that category, or maybe it was too easy. Of course, one of the two.
Oh no! It wasn't that. It wasn't that they didn't know. It was that I created the category. I sent it to Aglab, and then he used it in my GeoGuessr round.
Author bias.
He knew what he was doing.
Like I sent it to it was the black and white category.
Oh yes.
I came up with the idea for the category. I was like, you know what? I'll send this to Aglab because he might use it. And then I saw something like black is one of the category names. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
I was sad that I didn't see SRMC on that list.
Yeah. What's it called? I actually don't remember what's. Oh yeah, I remember the hacks that I used in that. But yeah. Anyway. Oh, just as a fun thought. I think about 4 out of 5 of those hacks that I used in that list. 4 out of the 5 hacks that I used in that list were had what's it called? That one Toe song, "The Bad Apple," as the port used. I swear, every single time that somebody uses "Bad Apple" in a hack, or every single time that somebody uses a black and white level in a hack, it has to have that song. I don't know why. Why do people always use that song for that type of level?
I think it's embedded in whatever type of Toho content the original is about, like the theme of that level or fight or whatever is black and white as well.
I get
or the
that.
song itself.
I just don't know why everyone keeps on using the same song.
It's tradition. The song has literally ascended to, like, it's so known and popular, you're probably not even finding the original on YouTube. It's always kind of remixes, playing it on a certain non-instrument type of instrument and stuff like that.
Anyway,
with a song that popular, it has to be used by default. That's how it goes.
I was gonna talk about the regular music quiz. So for the regular music quiz, I recorded most of the songs, but not all of the songs, as I said. But it was actually kind of difficult to come up with like 20 more. It was kind of difficult to come up with 40 more songs after you had already exhausted 50 song ideas for King Toast Music Quiz. So, like, if you look in here, there's stuff like... first of all, in both of the music quizzes, I kind of did reuse a lot of the same games because it was easier to do that, if you notice.
Yeah,
so if you watch the first...
There was new casuals that came out, like Plutonium and all that.
Yeah. But, like, I used, like, Luigi's Mansion 64.5 in both of them because I was just like, I need to use... it was kind of difficult to come up with everything.
Honestly, I will admit I didn't notice, and that's probably because in my brain, Luigi's Mansion 64.5 doesn't really stick as anything. So, if that's the case for the majority of people, then you're probably getting away with it easily. Like, it's not a problem that you're reusing a couple.
Again, it's just one of those things that's just hard to host, like, every marathon. Like, it'd probably be easier if it was done once a year as opposed to like twice a year, because at some point you're gonna exhaust all the tracks that exist.
It's not that I've exhausted all the tracks that exist. It's just I could always just go to Fairs hacks, but I don't want to.
We'll never go down that route.
Yeah, well, then the point becomes the practical exhaustion of what is usable.
It's more like, so like
we are not going to go to.
Point. Like we might get to that point. Not now.
I think we have got to that point personally, as I also said earlier. I mean, I believe that even before DMVIC decided to do music quizzes for this SRM, so it was pleasant surprise that he managed to make them in 2 versions even. Pretty great, but I guess it could be repeated another time, but after that I'm kind of skeptical that
would you do it again,
we are getting more original music quizzes.
What did they say? I'm sorry.
Would you do it again?
Another music quiz next time?
Definitely not in the summer. Or at least if I'm doing categories, I'm not ever doing categories and music quiz at the same time ever again. I'm not doing two special events at this. That was a stressful week because basically every single second that I wasn't doing Fantasy 64, 182, or any other like hack for the marathon, I was doing it, doing the music quiz or something. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
On a similar note, yeah, don't try to shove an event without announcing it. Because, for example, for this SRM, I kind of had the last minute plan to try and just invent some more sets of millionaire questions and just throw them in, not as official runs, but as backups for the holes, which did end up happening in a couple of places in the schedule. Well, that didn't happen because it turns out thinking of a gimmick and then all the questions, like finalizing, balancing, and stuff like that, kind of difficult and kind of not doable in a couple of days.
Gameshows. Yeah, like again, as I said, like if I ever like make another, first of all, I'd much rather do categories than music quiz. Not that I prefer, not that like categories is inherently better. It's just what's it called? I mean, first of all, I'd probably ask for help for both of them at this point because I can't. It's very hard to come up with questions for both at this point because I've I've already done 5 categories rounds. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's a little bit easier because it's more broad and it covers a lot of topics.
But it's hard to come up with. It's hard to come up with interesting questions. That's a better way of saying it.
Then maybe ones that pertain to the specific contestants.
Like hacks that have 4 or more Toho songs is an interesting question because it's something that no one would think about. Hacks that don't have the letter E is also an interesting question because you have to actually think about it.
Because you can't say super at all.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, it could be a way too difficult question, which could be, too much for the contestants in the other way. Like, they do have to think, but the very nature of the game is very fast-paced, very chaotic, instinctive reaction type.
Yeah, and also, what's it called? Also, it could be a bit too difficult on the contestants, but that's the reason why there's different levels of questions. That's the reason why there's levels 1, 2, and 3 questions instead of just all level 1 questions, if that makes any sense.
Like when it came to the ROM hacking tools, like for me and Kevin, it started pretty simple, collision types, which somebody who doesn't even make hacks could probably guess too, because if you just play the game, you know what types of collision Mario will go through. But then you got to which option would I use if I'm using this type of texture? That's when it got really advanced.
I see.
Like I said, IA or something like that. Do you no? That's when you're using black and white textures. I was like, why don't use black and white textures?
Yeah.
But it still was interesting, especially the one where it's just name any hacking tool.
Yeah. I like the questions I came up with. I would definitely ask. First of all, I would definitely not this time. I did ask for help for questions, but nobody actually responded. This next time, I'm going to make it clear: if nobody submits a lot of questions, I'm not going to do. I'm just going to cancel it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's an interesting condition. I think what stopped you from getting help with those quote-unquote actual questions, because there was also final questions and tiebreakers you could submit. I think you got some there. With the actual questions, you did say, if it's not easily verifiable by me, or you do not submit me also the list with answers, so you didn't do the research for all the possible answers to the question you invented, I'm not going to take it. And that does sound like too much effort. Even for me, and I really like those inventing questions and stuff like that, but I wouldn't go with a question like that because then I would also need to think of all the answers. Too much work.
Can I say something?
Yes.
That was for the final questions and the starting questions. That was not for the categories. For the categories, I said you don't have to give proof or anything.
Damn.
Which makes sense because you're disputing, but it's the person actually has to know if they're disputing it correctly or not. And even if they're not, it's if they don't contest to it, then it's both of us don't know, so it could be right, it could be wrong.
But what's it called? For the actual categories, the hard part is coming up with a category idea, not coming up with proof. That's why I put it on there that you don't need to give me proof if it's a category.
One of the hardest ones was like what levels were actually taken from other games.
Oh yeah, that was. I think I was in level 3, right?
Yeah.
I like putting like things that are stupid that no one would ever think of in the level 3 category because those are always the most fun in my opinion.
Yeah, because sometimes you won't know if they're you won't know if they're like recreated or not. Like maybe they were imported from the
like
original
Mario
games, or maybe
Odyssey
they
was
made them by themselves.
Mario Odyssey was definitely a recreation, but like you wouldn't know that by just playing it unless like
So I was
you
like,
know.
Banjo Kazooie
I mean,
64, I guess.
yeah, yeah, that was a fun like little section. Like I like putting ones that really make you think in level 3, like level 1 and 2. I like putting ones. Yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, that's more of like, oh, I really gotta brainstorm, and I guess
Yeah,
like the stress-inducing ones are the like, oh, pick name hacks that don't have an e in it. That's very like
yeah.
pressuring.
I think I put that one in level 1, and I think it's more of a
You
level 2
did.
question.
It was early. I think so.
Yeah, I think that's more of a level 2 question in hindsight, but you know, I was rushed when creating ideas. Yeah, what's it called?
Or like, don't have one that has Star or Mario in it, or 64, or Super.
Yeah. Yeah, there was. I think I had in one of the questions. I had name hacks that have the word "star" in it, I think for that one I put like a rule that said you can't say more than one star events. Or no, it was
Because of course.
Yeah, it was a different one. It was named daily Katse hacks. That was one where I put the rule: don't say more than one Dakins practice because it would just go on forever.
Yeah.
Because it would be Dakins practice 1, Dakins practice 2, Dakins practice 3, Dakins practice 4.
How many of them are there again? Because
4.
I don't know. Oh,
Somebody would say Dakins practice 5, and then the other person probably wouldn't dispute it as well.
hopefully, though, I could also very much see the other person just not paying attention, missing that. Either forgetting about the dispute logic or just not being bothered by Duckage Practice 5 because it was already said 4 times before that, so...
Yeah, and
or
maybe they just don't know about Dakins practice at all and just think, oh yeah, probably
That would probably
exists.
be me. I was like, wait, Dakich made this?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think for that one though, I think somebody said Stardust Sanctuary, and then the other person was like dispute, like that's not a hack, and I was like, no, it is a hack. Or maybe not a hack.
I remember
Yeah,
I said Lego 64 or something like that.
Oh yeah, you did.
And it turned out to be like real. I was like, oh, okay.
It actually was real.
You got away with it.
Oh, what's it? Oh no, I remember now. There's no. This is no. I remember you and Kevin's around. It was like Kaiser hack techniques, double
jump kicks. I was like, oh yeah, that's impossible doing casual hacks.
Double jump kicking immensely.
Yeah.
The worst part is that you didn't dispute it, Loka.
No, it was too late. That's why I couldn't dispute it because I said troll stars first. That's why.
Oh,
because I remember you didn't accept troll stars, because I said that first, and then Kevin said double jump kicks. So it was too late.
Yeah, but no. Why would it be too late then? Because
I think you went back to the troll star comment, and then you're like, well, technically it's like in Star, like Brodu uses them a lot. It's not exactly exclusive to Kaizo's.
Well, if you said, I think you said troll stars after double jump kicking immensely. Right?
I don't know. I don't remember.
If it was before, it wouldn't matter. If it was after, then Kevin probably disputed it. I think Kevin actually won that question.
Yeah.
Somehow.
But my punishment was, both our punishments were quite harsh, so I was like, I'll go easy. They were really bad.
Yeah, double jump kicking immensely.
Only in Kaizo's, nowhere else. It's not like that's optional or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and then I also, what's it called? I just like categories as like a thing because it requires you to think.
Yeah, brainstorming a lot. Think of all the hacks that you played. You have to think outside the box, like especially with the letter E. It's like, okay, no supers, as long as I try.
It requires me to think a lot because coming up with interesting category ideas after doing 5 rounds of 10 questions is actually kind of difficult.
On top of doing all these other contests.
Yeah, like, what's it called? For this one, I definitely had to, like, adapt some of the previous questions, but, like, change it slightly so that you couldn't, like, just watch the old one
and
know it all.
Would you say, Would you say like GeoGuessr and categories kind of replace Millionaire now, or do you think Millionaire would still be a thing?
Millionaire is just different.
Yeah,
Categories seems like no.
because Millionaire is very specific. Like there's answer choices, but categories it's like you have to think of this. Like
Yeah.
any choice could be a good choice.
I feel
You're
like
not limited.
categories. Yeah, I feel like categories is more skill. Categories and Millionaire are more skill based than GeoGuessr, though. I would say, and
Yeah,
the reason why I say that is that GeoGuessr kind of just matters on if you land on something that you know or not. Like, there's definitely there's definitely randomness to it in a way.
On
it's
the
like
flip
oh, I
side,
know
though,
this category.
for GeoGuessr, it seems to me at least to be more popular, and maybe it has to play with exactly this on how it's just visual and simple.
The visuals
Like
definitely
you just
help
have
a lot.
to, you just have to answer for this one screenshot what the ROM hack is or the creator or something simple like that. Millionaire could get pretty involved with the questions sometimes, although for me, I think I actually fell into the trap of more generic types of questions. Like there could be repeats, the type of who created this ROM hack or this tool, or where does this music port play in, and stuff like that. Like there's definitely question archetypes, and with categories, well, it just takes a long time to explain in the first place how it works and to understand.
I feel like it'll get easier now. I feel like categories is the type of thing where I feel like in the future, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna give like a 5-second explanation, and then I feel like it's much easier to understand categories if you watch it. If that makes any sense, like it's easier to kind of get what it's about.
It's just one of those things you have to like do like a couple of times in the marathons before people are like, oh, okay, this is how it works. Because once you do it for the first time, it's like it's gonna be a little clunky how the rules work. But now it's becoming more polished.
Now that all those people watch it, they're like they actually kind of understand the rules now. Now that
Yeah.
So I feel like next time it's going to be a lot easier to explain it.
Music quiz, it felt like I was making stuff up as I was going along when it originally happened.
Yeah,
but now,
well,
now it has
again,
it has a stable format now, so now it's like it won't go wrong.
But there could still be changes to the format. But we'll see in the future if that's needed or if it will survive as an event as a whole.
I could see it going for like another year, perhaps.
Hopefully.
But GeoGuessr and categories, that's something that's definitely going to last much longer than quiz.
Yep. Sometimes it's about the simpleness of the format rather than the...
Because music is very specific. It's just music. But GeoGuessing categories, that talks about a wide range of there's subcategories within those categories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
unless you want to bring hardcore back. Would you like to bring co-op hardcore back?
We're never doing co-op hardcore ever again. That was a disaster.
Yep, not on SRM. Not on SRM because again, that did actually cost me a lot of extra effort. So usually in hardcore, there's just the organization that I've tried to do for a while and I failed this week. Sorry for that. Of gathering the people, letting them kind of vote for their own hacks, then. Yeah, maybe sifting the results a little bit, but overall it's a democratic choice of what ROM hacks we play. And then we just gather and play them in the voice chat, and whatever happens. The very nature of hardcore is that not that we want to fail or we are expected to fail, but it's kind of the most natural solution, dying.
Yeah. The problem with cooperative hardcore this time was that everyone died in 30 minutes.
Isn't that what happened with Star Event 3.5?
Yeah, Star Event 3.5. Everyone died in like 30 minutes, and thank goodness we were behind schedule because otherwise it would be like, what do we do?
Yeah, pretty weird. Do we do it again or do we do another one? I guess that was an option. And the thing is, obviously it doesn't work. Like it's obvious to me now because I did try to take a lot of safety precautions as opposed to a regular hardcore. For example, first I had a list of some of the supposedly easiest ROM hacks, like ones with reasonable ISCs, because 3.5 has 50 out of 133. That's pretty low. The idea is that
difficult.
Yeah, the idea is that at least we could try to win any percent that way, because Hundo is kind of a big goal. I tried to introduce this kind of lifeline or I don't know what to call it, wife vest of sorts, where a person could die and be revived, or people had two wives, something like that.
Yeah,
which
I
we
remember
also
that.
tested with, but it was not communicated really well, and that
Even
was
if
also
it
big
was,
confusion for the people watching.
yeah, even if it was communicated well, it didn't matter because we all understood it, and we
Yeah,
kind of just all died.
well, not the entire chat understood it, but at the end of the day, I didn't account for where a person could just go to the same place immediately and die over there again, and then it's basically the same team with 2 deaths instead of 1.
Yeah. So they go over there to try to get the star that the other person was going for, and then they get screwed.
Thanks a lot, man.
Absolutely. I might have been guilty of that thing, so sorry. Yeah, I think I was trying to get key 1, and exactly that situation that you are talking about happened to me, so oops.
Yeah, I guess
and
timing
I
could
died
be
in
an
it.
issue too, because like when it comes to blind races, it's like, yeah, sure, nobody knows what's going on, but they could die as many times as they want, get how many stars they want. They just have to do it at a specific time limit. But hardcore, it can end very soon. It can end very
Yeah.
long. It's hard to make an estimate for something like that, as opposed to like
Yeah.
blind races.
And finally, another layer of protection of hardcore is basically the number of people which are playing, which, of course, for marathon
4.
purposes, it was 4 for the marathon. It was either 4 or 6 in all my estimations that I tried to do before the
Yeah.
whole event actually happening. Well, usually not that we get a lot of people, but I think 8 is a solid average number, and there have been a few hardcores with up to 15 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than 4. A lot more wives.
No more
Yeah,
Star
and a lot
Wars
more
Zero.
safety.
No more.
Absolutely.
It's banned from ever being done in hardcore.
Loka, you're never. Loka,
Let
if
me
I
actually
ever
check.
see you do a SR0 thing ever again,
I
I
might as
will
well just
like.
speedrun the game at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
I remember like you wanted to play Mario Party. I was like, nah, I'm still not dead yet. I kind of want to be, but I'm still not dead.
Yep, that's how to artificially extend the length of an event. I mean, it's actually not artificial, it's just one personal life, and they will try to play very safely and slowly towards the goal.
So yeah, I think we're basically done now. It's been about an hour, right?
Yeah.
Unless either of you want to say anything else.
No, I think those are good topics to talk about. It was mostly like music and marathon based, which is good enough. Hacking tools kind of is a little outside the box, so I think that's better for another time.
That's also better for some people that actually like make hacks.
Yeah.
I mean, like me and you
One-off
make
hacks are like don't count.
I'd like have at least like 3 people who make hacks for that kind of topic.
Wario Heaven, that doesn't count for King Toad.
Like, or at least somebody who's been making hacks for a while, because like hacking tools and how they've evolved over time. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person here who's ever even in this voice call who's ever even used. Of course decomp, but also I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in this voice call who's used SM64 editor version 6 or SM64 level importer version 16, and even then I used it like once in 2015. So, like having somebody like Brodu who's been making hacks for forever would be much better for a topic like that. Maybe
it's
not
good
Brodu,
to get like both sides, like somebody more experienced with this one, and then this person's more experienced with RM, and then decomp.
Yeah, and somebody who had, or at least has used old hacking tools so they can explain exactly what they're like.
Yeah.
Okay. I would be pretty cool if we got Frauber himself somehow, but well, that's a little bit far-fetched.
I don't even know if anybody knows where Frauber is or how to contact him. Yeah.
Yep, that would be a problem. I think I did hear... Oh yeah, but I think he's busy whenever his own ROM hacks are not concerned and being played on the marathon.
Yeah, what was it?
Introducing Fritfrat, everybody.
Okay.
That's also fine, but he also did go from SM64 ROM hacks to other games altogether, and also seems to be gone again now, even though he was back for a little bit.
So do we want to... So do we? Who are? It's either Aussie Adam or Tomato Bird. I'm thinking Tomato Bird, but
well,
I'm in favor of TB as well.
If you look at
what
the
did he
live
say?
count.
Yeah, I'd say Aussie Adam just because he has less people.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good argument.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 2, music based for the most part. If you didn't catch it, you can catch it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, this is the music episode, by the way. That's the title of the video.
Yeah.
The music episode
found
with a
new
side
instruments,
of
guys.
the side of the insights of game shows.
And marathon.
Yeah.
It's a side of marathon. Music episode is a
Yes.
side of marathon.
If you missed the cast, check it out on the YouTube channel. It'll be uploaded shortly.
Yeah. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Promotion.